just the stalking.
Got it.
Goodwill. If you call me in for that special appointment.
Yes. Uh-huh. Okay. Do I want it? No, thank you. Hello.
Good afternoon or morning, wherever you are. It's Monica Reynolds. Uh-oh, Stephanie, we got some problems there. See if they correct themselves. All right, good morning. I'm on 2 minutes early. If anyone has a quick question, it's Monica. I'm happy to answer any questions. Good morning. All right, was anyone at the mega camp last week? Hopefully your agents were. All right, Miss Stephanie, we're almost at the top of the hour. About 30 more seconds, and then I'll let you do your thing, and we'll get this call going. Okay, Stephanie, start.
Good morning, everyone. This is Stephanie. I'm your Fast Track coordinator today. I'm going to make just a few announcements before we get started, and I hand you back over to Coach Monica. We do ask that you help us keep the noise levels to a minimum. Please, if you're not interacting on the call, make sure your line is muted. You can use the mute button on your phone if you have one, or you can hit *6 to mute and *6 to unmute when you want to ask questions or you have comments. If you're on a cell phone or have us on speaker, please keep yourself muted, as it does make an extremely loud echo for us. Please don't put us on hold, otherwise we will be listening to your hold music. And that was a very good example right there. Also, a heads up, we can see everyone's line that is dialed into this call and how much feedback is coming from it. If you forget to mute yourself and you're creating too much feedback, I will mute you. I prefer not to, as once you're muted from my side, you're muted for the rest of the call and you're unable to ask questions or interact with Monica or the other participants. Okay, Monica, they're all yours.
Thanks, World's Greatest. That's the great Stephanie. Thank you so much. Okay, so we should have on here number 9, the perfect listing system. Is that what we have?
Yes.
Somebody say yes.
Yes.
Okay, good. All right, just want to make sure, because sometimes some people have different ones, and I want to make sure we're there. Okay, thank you for that. Appreciate that. So the objective today is we're going to create the perfect pre-list system, and we're going to have a perfect listing checklist. And we're going to have the perfect price reduction system. Now, some of you are going, well, we haven't had to do price reductions. Oh, yes, we are. The market has changed. And, you know, everything kind of rolls east right now in the west in California. We've seen a very dramatic change in the market. And being at Mega Camp last week, a lot of agents are experiencing the same thing. Houses are not selling right away. They're on the market 30 days plus. And so you have to start looking at your communication systems and things that you do to keep that client happy and yet have the goal to sell that property still 30 days or less. And so you want to create an efficient weekly update for the agent so that they're not constantly asking you all the time, hey, what's going on about this? What's going on there? How do I, you know, what's happening on this one? You give them one form. It has everything on there, and once you put it together, it just takes you a few minutes every week to do. So once again, taking a look at this call, turn to the page, 3. So here's a couple things to think about. Is your listing checklist bulletproof? Did you forget to do something important? How are you keeping track of everything you need to do? And I love, you know, you guys and gals that are paperless, you know, gosh, that's just terrific. That's just not where I'm going to go. And when you do large amounts of business, it gets more and more difficult to be paperless. And so when you do volume like what we do, it's very difficult. Now, that's my excuse, and I'm sticking to it. We're not going to go paperless, but if you are, good for you. You know, have you put the 3-week honeymoon checklist in place, which was given to your agent a couple of weeks ago? What is your system for price reductions? Do you furnish the seller with an action plan? What is your system for listing updates to the agent to the seller? And that's critical. You have to over-communicate when you start taking listings that last longer on the market. You have to have some very defined communication systems, which causes, you know, your phone not to be ringing all the time with the seller saying, hey, what's going on about this, what's going on about that. If you have a lot of incoming phone calls, you need to pay attention to this line, then you're doing something not correctly in communicating. You should not have a lot of incoming calls. You should be proactively calling that person so that you're not having incoming calls. So what we're doing today is we're talking about the whole beginning of the listing system and what you as a great executive assistant could do to help the agent. So on page 4, occasionally some agents just won't relinquish the control of it. They may ask you to do a CMA search. And so what I'd like to share with you is that this is one thing that you could easily help with, and that's pulling up the most recent comparables that have sold that are contingent, maybe short sales, that have pended and that are currently listed. And then the agent can give you the parameters, the lot size, location, so all of this has to be tailored, obviously specific for your MLS area. You know, and then, but the key on this is that, is this something that you should be helping the agent with? You know, is this something that can be done? I don't personally do my CMAs. I have someone else do those. And so I trust they know what they're doing, and I send the area and I send basically, you know, what it is and what the seller may think it's worth. Because with that said, you know, on my pre-qual, I always ask, which has been given to your agents, you know, Zillow says your property's worth this. How do you feel about that price? A lot of times Zillow is completely out of their mind, and sometimes they're pretty close, but it gives me an idea. So with that said, turn to page 5, the listing preparation checklist. So we always get the tax assessor information, the property profile, the CMA. We prepare an estimate of closing costs. Not everything's filled in there, but we can definitely do that. And we prepare the listing file folder, the MLS sheet. And then the assistant, these are all the things that a great executive assistant would do, would call the seller to confirm the date and just say, by the way, will you have 2 keys available? So it's always great to ask that question, because then that confirms that they're ready to list their property. So basically that's a closing technique, you know. And then make sure that, you know, when somebody's relocating, have they contacted a realtor? If not, we put them in touch. And even if they have contacted a realtor, we go, great. You know, sometimes it's great in these areas to have 2 agents looking for you, especially if they didn't contact a Keller Williams agent. We want them to do that. All right? And then order 100 just listed names of the neighborhood. you know, and then we start preparing, you know, our mailings and our door knocking based on that. All right, so turn the page. This page is interesting because what happens in most offices, so you're going to need a tab, and it's going to say referral. And on this tab in your office policy and procedures, you need to have your system set up for referrals. So Stephanie in our office controls all of our referrals. She makes sure we have the paperwork. She makes sure we get things signed back and forth. We know the closing dates, and we get weekly updates from the agents that we send out referrals to. So as you see in the middle of the form there, it says, please email this form every Friday by 12 o'clock. Thank you for cooperation. This ensures great customer service. We want to get paid on that referral. We don't want to send it out there and wonder what happened. You know, 37% of our business is repeat and referral business. And so we know our numbers, and we know that our referrals work. So if a seller's selling, we're going to get a referral on that guy. Whether he has a listing or whether he has an agent or not, we're going to still send one out. And so with that said, make sure you have a referral system. So this would be a tab that says referral form, referral checklist, whatever. And then we have a separate notebook in our office that Stephanie keeps with all the referrals. Okay, page 7, if you'll turn there, I'm going to take a little extra time on this. Okay, so basically you're going to see on this page it says appointment file checklist. I'm going to make your life easier. If you'd like to listen to this, it'll be great. So here's a couple of things. So the first part, the part that says Zillow.com, my assistant fills out this first box where it says confirmed, received package, spoke with, on office board, referral fee paid to, referral agent on there if there is one, property profile ordered, pre-list, emailed, mailed, delivered. I like all three things to be done, email and delivered at least, by who, on agent schedule, agent, client, builder, etc. Okay, so that little piece is filled out by the assistant. That's block number 1. Block number 2, I'm going to come back to that where it says 1 through 10, we're coming back to that. Block number 3 that says short sale, it'll say yes or no. You might put the cross streets in there, property. I have a Navigator in my car now, so that doesn't matter anymore. Seller's name, owner occupied, vacant, email, work, phone, cell number, etc. Number 3 block there where it says short sale, yes or no. This is where the assistant also fills out all of this information. This is prior to the listing appointment. This gets stapled to the front of the file. Now, number 4, don't do anything where it says team concept, it ends with referral. That's done later, so hold on to that. That's going to be blank. That's by the agent. And then number 5 is done by the agent also at the appointment. So now let's start. I'm at the appointment. I've got block 1 and block 3 filled out by my assistant. So while I'm at the appointment, I'm going to fill in the loan balance, if there's HOA fees, the list price. If they're a buyer, then what buyer agent am I assigning it to? Sign, MLS, door hanger, yes or no, flyers, just listed, yes or no, whether we're going to send out mailings, make the calls, etc. 800 info home line, making sure that we have an 800 number going up on that. And then seller relocating, referral agent, showing instructions. So this sheet is a legal size normally because this is pretty tight in there. So we have it as a legal size so I can write kinds of stuff in there. And then property features, I can write on that, but I also flip the page over and write on the back side. And then where it says driver, husband, wife, analytical, husband, wife, amiable, husband, wife, expressive, husband, wife. So it's the disc on each one of those. So an analytical is a C, an amiable is an S, expressive is an I, and of course D for driver. So going across, it's DCSI. So with that said, those are the things I fill out, and then I go back to, on the 1 to 10, on the listing file, I say, thank you, Bill, for citing the listing. You know, I look forward to helping you and Jane move to Florida, and I want to make this an experience of 1 to 10 for you. So in order to make this a 1 to 10, 10 being the best, what exactly is the number one thing you need from me? And he says, I want you to sell it at the top price. Great, top price, I've got that. So I want to even make this better than just a 1 to 10. What's another thing I can do to deliver? Well, like to sell it in 30 days. Okay, so you want full price, you're asked a great price, and you want this sold in 30 days or less. Okay, terrific. What else? Well, I need you to communicate regularly so we know what's going on. Great. So those 3 things are your top 3 of what you need from me as an agent. Great. So now I've written that on my file, so my assistant now knows that these are the things that's going to make this client happy. My assistant also knows that they're a driver, the husband's a driver, the wife is an amiable, so she's going to be nice and sweet to talk to. The husband's going to be get to the point, fast, quick, what's the bottom line? Now on section 4 there where it says team concept, now on the team concept, this part to me makes sense that the agent does this at the end. Once the listing is signed, then I start talking about the team concept. I start mentioning, our listing manager, Giovanna, will be calling you. Then I talk about a price conversation. We know that our marketing works in the next 2 to 3 weeks. If we've had a lot of showings or no showings and no offers, then it's a price situation. Now, I say this because I'm setting them up for a price reduction within 3 weeks. Listings are the foundation of real estate. This is the most important thing, that if you get this absolutely perfect, then it causes repeat and referral business. This is setting the stage for excellence, all right? So with that said, then I go through, home showing ready, showing instructions, negotiating process, expectations of offers. We use a mortgage company that we like to always make sure that they get qualified, cross-qualified, and we talk about referrals. And referrals there are saying, by the way, before I leave, I wanted to just let you know that my business is based on referrals from great people like you. The more signs I have out, the more opportunities I have to talk to a buyer. A buyer may call on a property over on Broadway Street, and yet they may be the perfect buyer for your home over here on Mill Street. So may I ask you a question? If you find someone, could you just do a quick 30-second call to me and let me know you heard of someone who's thinking about buying or selling? I would so appreciate that. So we ask for referrals right up front. It's so critical to do that. So let me stop here on page 7 because, again, this is printed out in a legal-sized piece of paper, 11 by 14. And there's 2 sections filled out, section 1 and section 3 by the assistant. The rest are filled out by me, the agent. Or section 1 and, yeah, that's right, 3. Okay, all right. So who has a question, please? Any questions about that? You guys are easy today. Unmute yourself if you have a question, *6. Okay, so let me ask this question. If you got a file like this brought back to your office, if you get a file brought back to your office and all this information is filled out, do you have a good place to start where you know that the husband's a driver, the wife is an expressive, you've got the loan balance, you know about the door hangers, you know about this or that or whatever else you're doing, you know what they're expecting on a 1 to 10, what they need from you? How do you feel about this file so far?
It's going to be great to work with them.
I'm sorry, who are you? Okay, how do you feel? Somebody needs to talk. I'm not moving on until we get the conversation go. How do you feel about this file?
This is Erica from Keller Williams Signature in Houston, or in Katy. To me, that would make me excited to work with them, and it's going to be great to work with them because we have everything we need to make them happy.
Yeah, thanks, Erica, for speaking up. And so when you look at this, you start right away. You're going to know what they want from you on a 1 to 10. You're going to know their personality style. You basically have all of their information if you're going to do a brochure, what you're going to do or not do. So you've got a ton of information. Now, here's the thing that, Erica, that I would suggest to you, thank you for speaking up, and anyone listening to the call, is that once the file comes in, I told the agents that they need to spend 10 minutes talking to you about the sellers. there may be certain things like, oh, they have this cat named such and such, or they have this dog named Tank. You need to be aware of that. So, you know, you still need to have a conversation. They can't still throw the file down. This is called communicating. So, you know, 10 minutes or less, but all the information is filled out there. That gives you a great start. So thanks, Erica. So do you have anything in place like this right now, Erica?
We do have a little bit, like we use Top Producer, and so that also gives like a checklist that we kind of...
Is that printed off before the agent goes out?
No, it's after.
Oh, okay. So this is on the file. Thank you for saying that. And it's stapled to the file before they go out. That would be helpful, don't you think?
Definitely.
Good.
I have a question.
Thanks for Erica. All right, good. Let's move on. Okay, listing checklist. So great. So people ask me all the time, okay, do you use a software program? Sure. You know, what do you use? Doesn't matter. It's like software's like pantyhose. One size doesn't fit all. Whatever I tell you, you won't like. I don't like yours. It doesn't matter. There's just nothing out there. You know, eEdge does a great job. Love that. We use My Red Tools. It's not Keller Williams specific, but it's called My Red Tools. You know, Top Producer, I hear phenomenal things about Top Producer right now. They've really stepped up their game, and they've got some great things. So whatever you're using, love it, embrace it, and use it. It doesn't matter. I still believe in, you know, we've talked about this before, the classification file folders and having everything two-hole punch at the top and having a system where everything goes and nothing falls out. And one of those systems is to have a very accurate listing checklist. Can you go up online and look at it? Yes, but there's nothing faster in my world to go pull a file, look at it, and see what's missing, what's going on, what's there. So that's why we have a listing checklist. So obviously, here's a listing checklist, and one of the things on the right-hand side, about the middle of the page, it says source of business, and thank you to the source. So if you got a referral from someone, you want to make sure that you're sending out a thank you or whatever you do for sources of business, like somebody send a referral to you. That's critical to name the source of business, always the business. Then there's the owner information. Now, in my office, and I'm going to backtrack here, when I give Stephanie the seller's name and information, and I'll have an email, and I might have a cell phone, and I might not, she knows that before she goes out, that I go out, that she's going to confirm the appointment for me. She's going to ask the seller for their cell phone, what's your wife's cell phone number, or husband's, etc., what's your wife's email, what's your email. So all that gets filled out. That goes in the database. Now here's a game changer for you guys. Listen to this. That goes in our database whether I take the listing or not. Why? They own a home. Why? I'm spending time with them. So they're going to go in the database. Now, all this information, though, is also on the checklist, so I can readily find that. If I open up a file, need to do a price reduction, it's all there for me, too. Showing instructions. You know, you got to get really clear about the showing instructions and how that gets handled. You know, in our world, we try to put a lockbox on every single house and make sure that the seller, you know, understands why we do that, so that, you know, one, they can control the showings, and two, more importantly, you know, agents have to have accessibility, and if they call our office and we got to find the agent back, we got to call them, it gets too much of a round robin. So we've successfully, most of the times, negotiated through that. So type of pet, name of pet, hey, that's an important piece in everybody's life, you know, people have pets, so you got to know sometimes these pets are rated higher than their kids, so we got to make sure we got all the family noted. Okay, any fees that are paid out, home warranty, additional information, turn the page on page 10 at the property. Now, most agents, I don't take pictures. Giovanna in my office goes out there to take pictures, or we hire a professional depending on the property. So this isn't what I do. I don't measure rooms. Giovanna goes and measures the room. She completes the agent inspection form. So these are things I don't do, but some agents do these things. Now, in this market, you might want to consider leaving 5 envelopes stamped for showing cards, and we like to get those cards out of that house, and, you know, so we stamp the envelopes for them to send them back. in a lot of the markets lately, the houses have been selling so fast you haven't been doing that, but it's a good idea to collect those cards and get them out of there. I don't like the cards sitting around. Just because if the home doesn't sell for a while and the same agent keeps showing it over and over again, that's not a good idea. So we get those cards out of there, and by the lockbox anyway, you know, tells us who they are also. Ask for referrals, office systems, you know, you're going to read through these, and you know, termite inspection is big in our world, roof inspections, physical inspections, etc. There when you see a lot of people email me and say, well, what about the 5 people to call? That's my job as an agent. I need to think of 5 people who might be interested in that property. And so if it's a first-time home, I might call a couple of school teachers I know, if it's or a fireman that I know. If it's an executive home, I'll call a couple of executive people I know and say, hey, I've got a great home, who do you know? Gives me an excuse to talk to them also to see what they're doing and if they have any referrals for me. So it's a great option. So that's your agent. Turn the page on marketing. You know, whatever you're deciding to do on marketing is where this goes to make sure it's done. So we use an 800 number. It goes up on all the websites, goes on the KW website. All of that's done. Sometimes we send out just listed cards. Sometimes we send out, we do a just listed call around there. So there's different things that we do. We don't do broker open, but I put it on there just in case. We steer clear of those. We tell the seller that most agents who do the most business in town don't go to broker opens because of the internet has changed the value of a broker open. That's my world in San Diego. Your world may be different, so that's okay with that. Disclosures, follow-up, assistant to call seller and introduce within 24 hours. That should be changed to within 1 hour, and I will give you the new form coming up in just a second. So that should be changed. And then we try to get a price reduction by the 2nd week if we don't have an offer. And I say try because by the 3rd week we're pretty successful doing that. Page 12 is your price reduction checklist. And basically we'll go through more of this coming up. But in this market right now, price reductions are absolutely critical to the success. And I did a price reduction on a property. It was one of our higher-end properties last week, and guess what? We got an offer. Did another price reduction on another property. Guess what? We got an offer. So, you know, this is what's going to make some of these properties that are sitting there. It's not the marketing. It's not putting it up on a different website. It's not holding an open house. The only thing that causes a listing not to sell is the wrong price. And so everybody get on board with that. It's the wrong price. So your job as a great assistant is to make sure that you're notifying the agent when that property's been on the market more than 3 weeks. And so I'll give you a form for that coming up. Okay, page 13, and I'll take a breath here in just a second, but I got a bunch of pages to go through. Agent's listing checklist at the appointment. If you have a challenge with your agent, and I can't imagine that anybody on this call would be, where they're not coming back with completed MLS forms, they're not coming back with completed information. The key for you then is to have a checklist and train your agent to check these off so at the end of the appointment they're checking off, I did this, I did this, I did this, leave assistant card. All of you should have your own card. Those cards need to go with the agent on the listing appointment. It validates you and it says, my assistant will call you today. You know, and then the agent should talk about the 21-day price reduction. If we've had 6 to 8 showings and no offers or no showings, we know that it's a price issue. Ask for referrals. Magically, now that you have listed your home, we'll meet people who are thinking about buying or selling real estate. My business is based on referrals. The more signs out, the more buyers I get to talk to. And then go over weekly communication from the assistant and set the date and time frame. Now, an agent can do all of that prep work ahead of time. If he knows that you're going to call, or she knows that you're going to call listings on Tuesdays every day between 12 and 2, you'll hear from my assistant on Tuesdays between 12 and 2. Sometimes clients say, well, that may not be such a great day. Great. You know, when Giovanna calls you, you guys can set up a different time. That's great. We want to make sure that we absolutely communicate minimum at least once a week with you, if not more. Okay, so turn the page. You're going to love this. You're going to love this page. The market changed. So this page came back into place. So when we were selling houses within 2 to 3 hours, we didn't so much need this so much. All right, price. After 27 years in the business and over 36 homes sold, we know that our marketing works. When we put homes on the market, the only thing we're testing is the price. We will know within the first 2 weeks, based on the activity and feedback, how the market is responding to your price. So basically, I say to a seller, I would like to go over about 6 points that are really critical to the business right now and to the market. Well, it's 8, I guess, 6 to 8 points. And what I want to share with you is that it's important that I communicate this and that we talk about this. So I'll say to the seller, does that make sense, that this is a price-driven market right now? And they go, okay, good. I say initial that. And then I'll do the price reductions, which I've already told you the script 2 times now. If we haven't had enough showings, blah, blah, blah. And they sign that. And then I said also the marketing is we have a very proactive and aggressive marketing. We have an annual budget of over $300,000. Now, some of you are frightened at that. Trust me, I'm frightened at that too, but we have a big radio show, and a lot of that is offset through some of our vendors and suppliers. However, that is an impressive number for a lot of clients to look at that, because no one can compete with us when it comes to marketing. And so it gives you maximum exposure both online and offline. So I'm sure no one else on this call spends that kind of money. However, what you need to hear from me on that point is that you need to put in there, we have an aggressive marketing plan. We have a marketing plan that no other agent can compete with. Most agents don't put properties up on 75, 150 websites, whatever it is that you've got going on. Most agents don't have a network that they can refer business back and forth to. So you have to make yours unique to this, but I'm giving you the suggestion. Open houses. Less than 2% of the homes sold are done as a result of an open house. The majority of the buyers will be represented by a real estate agent and will make an appointment to see your homes. Open houses can be a safety factor since we cannot control who will be coming through the door. So we normally don't like open houses. There are some that we like and we'll say your house is perfect for an open house. It's in a prime location. People are very aggressive buyers out there trying to find a property. This may be an exception for you. So I always go back to the exceptions. Broker caravans, no way we're doing those. But we say one of the benefits of modern technology is the internet. So we don't do those, and we tell them that. Showing procedures. The homes that sell are the ones that are easiest for agents to show. So I get them to sign off on that. First offer. You're going to love this. Now that the market has changed, the longer a home sits on the market, the less it will sell for as it becomes market stale. Therefore, the first offer is oftentimes the best offer. It is the buyer who has been waiting for a home to show up like this. We always recommend that you do everything possible to put a deal together with the buyer. All right, so I have them sign off on that the first offer may be the best offer. Then I talk about the team concept. Heller the Home Seller is a team of highly skilled licensed agents working together to get your home sold. As the listing specialist, which I am, I'll always be available and will be updating you throughout the sale. During the sales process, you may interact with our listing manager regarding feedback on your home and the implementation of our marketing plan. The two of us together will work together to get your home sold. So I'm setting up the expectations there. To me, that is a great form to talk to your agent about after today's call and say, okay, is this something that you should incorporate to set the stage for how the market is changed or is changing? Maybe your market hasn't done any big changes yet. Hold on to that. It's coming your way. All right, page 16. All right, on page 16 real quickly, the person with the most paper wins if you ever go to court. And I did a breakout session for assistants and agents at MegaCamp, and I said, you got to have a communication log. Anytime a call comes into you, you need to say to that seller, great, may I put you on hold for 30 seconds and grab your file. Grab the file. Note that they called in. Note what they wanted. Keep accurate logs. When you call that person, write down that you called them and what was said. It can be brief, like told them about the sign. Great. That's all you needed to write down. Called them about, the website. Fine, done. But at least you're going to see that you've had direct communication with them, or left them a message, left them a message. Wow, I've left 5 messages and haven't heard back. I better try some different times to track them. All right, communication log absolutely has to be in that listing file folder. Okay, turning the page, page 17. Now, I know a lot of you have a lot of great training in your market centers, and you should keep going to that and learning all you can about personality styles in the disc. It's so important. So the importance of knowing a personality style of each client. Number 1, you speak the same language. If they speak French, you speak French. If they speak, Spanish, you speak Spanish. They will understand what you're saying if you become versatile. If you're an analytical and you call a driver and you want to say, let's review this and let's talk about that, you're going to lose a driver. Hi, Monica, I know, your time's valuable. Do you have 2 minutes? Great. I want to share a couple things with you about the market. And here's the bottom line. 2 new listings came up. Your home is priced way above those listings. I just wanted to let you know. I mean, you got to just get to the bottom line. Number 2, builds rapport instantly. So when you're speaking the same tribal language, you're going to build rapport instantly, which is such a great thing. If they're analytical and you're analytical, high C's, you're going to love each other. Let's review this. Let's talk about this. Let's think about this. Number 3, client will be happy working with you. The respect is built. They're going to be happy because if the client's a driver and you take too long to communicate, the driver's going to go, oh, come on, let's get this call over with. However, if you're going to call someone that is a very amiable, a high S, you can't be in a hurry and you go, oh, I just have 2 minutes, I'm sorry, I'm walking into a meeting, here's what you need to know. You've got to take your time with them. Remember, you've got to speak their language. And when you're talking to someone that's an amiable, you want to build a little rapport. How's your day going? Great. Remember, the call's about them, and they want you happy. They want to be happy. So, hey, how's your day going? Great. Do you have a couple minutes? I wanted to talk to you about your great home. All right? So in the number 4, they will comply. They will follow instructions if you speak their tribal language. If you communicate effectively, they will comply. It's just that simple. So you got to determine the personality style. You got to work on key words and expressions that develop rapport and control. Leave messages that the personality type will appreciate. If it's a driver, do not leave them a long message. They probably won't listen to the message anyway. If it's an analytical, just say there's a couple of things we need to review. I'm going to send you an email. There's 3 things I need you to look at, and then I'll be happy to talk to you as soon as you call me back. So that's an email or a message you can leave an analytical. An expressive, you want to have a lot of energy. Remember, the expressives, the high I's, are the party. Good morning. I'm sorry I missed you. I have some great news for you. I'd like to talk to you about the market. Call me back as soon as you get a chance. Here's my private direct line. All right, so you've got to know that, and you got to be prepared for the calls, and you got to think about the information you're delivering it and how you're going to deliver it. Now, page 18. Okay, here we go. All right, so this particular one, all right, is really important, and there's a change that needs to be made on this. It was made on the agent one, but it wasn't made on yours, so I'm going to give you the changes. Assistant introduction call is not within 24 hours. Change that to 1 hour. We have to step up the listing process. So when the listing is taken, the seller's perception is that it's absolutely important. We're valuable. They're paying attention. And then I want you to make another ... You have to call for the first 5 days, once a day for 5 days. Once a day. Every day, that client gets called for the first 5 days. And so you're going, well, what am I going to say? Well, I'm going to give you the scripts. Hang on to that. All right, so a listing letter is sent out. The buyer, agent, or office to preview property within 48 hours. Agent to call and say thank you, ask for a referral within 5 days. Letter with copy of MLS printout sent by mail and email. Assistant to call seller and provide code for the property, if you have an 800 number out there. So within the first week, conceivably, they should get between 7 to 10 contacts. Now, an email is not a contact as far as I'm concerned unless it's a call before, and then it's an email, and then it's a call back, did you get my email? So on the first introduction call, which is, coming up, we've talked about that, is that you've got to make sure you've got your little checklist together, which you had last week, of what you're going to say and check it off. But the sign has to go up within 24 hours also. They're looking for that sign, so be Johnny on the spot on that stuff. Week 2, you go over the MLS printouts, email the links, the agent to review showings, or you review showings with them, assistant to send out email link to top 50 agents, to entire database. If these are things you do, highly recommend them, and to call the top 10 agents in the area or people who write offers on your property and let them know about a brand new listing. Now, those things are great also, and you're going to tell the client you're doing those things. And so once again, if you have this kind of communication by week 3, when a new CMA is sent out, and you send a copy of the plan of action that has done, done, done written on every single line, then you can send a copy of call logs, you can send them a copy of internet hits. This is the time that you are going to get a price reduction. And hopefully on week 3 you're negotiating, or your agent's negotiating an offer on the property. If not, it's not the right price. That's all there is. You didn't get the right price on the property. So if you over-communicate and you have this honeymoon period where the client feels like, wow, I did the right thing. I listed with a great agent. Wow, that assistant is great. They're really on top of it. Week 3 comes, a new CMA, gosh, they've done everything that they said they're going to do. Oh, I guess I got to look at a price reduction. All right, hang on to that thought. Okay, so here's the Heller Team Plan of Action. Now, looking at this, I've got to make a couple of changes on this too, and we're always changing these things, but this is the plan of action that we use. And we want to make sure that, that people understand that these are the things that we do and what it takes to get a home sold, and we'll go through those things. I'll let you look through that. Let's go to page 21, this plan of action. So that's one plan of action that we share with the seller also, but this is the one that we do, that this is our marketing plan of action, all right? And on this marketing plan of action, here's a couple of things. Obviously, there's not 83,000 Keller Williams agents right now. Cross through that, there's 90,000 agents. And if you do more than 75 websites, that's great too. So this is our where you see the number 1 and there's a blank. Once these are done, we write done, 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 done. Within the first 10 days, all of these things have been done. We scan this and email it to the client, and we also send them a copy that we've done all these things. Take 25 color photos of your property through our website and make a color brochure for your property. That's on page 22. These are the things that we do. And so we check these off and write done, 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 done. So if you look at this and that seller gets this on week 3, you've set them up for the perfect price reduction, the perfect price reduction. All right, page 23. This is the agent listing update form, and you can make a note at the bottom. Every Friday at 10 o'clock, this is put in my chair. I like the seller name, the phone number, the address, the zip code, because we handle all of the county, and that zip code then tells me where it's at. Price reduction date, if there was one, current price, listing date, expiration date, original price. All right, so on expiration date, you as a great assistant, 2 weeks prior to expiring, or 3 weeks, whatever you and your agent decide is appropriate, you should yellow that when you hand it to the agent. Here's one coming up for expiration in 3 weeks. Now we have that problem again, where when the market's fast-paced, there's no such thing as an expired listing. DOM, of course, is days on the market. So every week you're just adding 7 days, 7 days, 7 days, 7 days. So that's a simple system, a spreadsheet to put together. If you do that, there's 2 things that happen. The agent has all the information, cuts down on their questions. They don't have to go look at the file. They've got the phone number. They've got the people's name. They've got the address. They've got the current price, days on market. They've got exactly what it's going to take you know, what you got to know exactly what's going to take to sell their property. You've got the expiration date. So everything is there is at your fingertips. If your agent wants another category, fine. But this just makes it real simple to me. The original price, what we're currently priced at, how many days on the market, and when was the last price reduction tells me if I hit the price right or not. Okay, moving on, page 24, and I'll take a breath here in a second. Okay, all right. So when it comes to weekly communication with the seller, there's no such thing as over-communicating. You know, these guys have made a decision to pay your agent, your company, your team 6%, 5% of the value of their home is going to go to you. 5% of the value of their entire home is going to go to your team, or 6%. We're 6%. And so when the phone rings in, it's the cash register, and we talked about that. When you're making outgoing calls, it's the cash register. We need to develop that repeat and referral business. That's where the profit is for the agent. So you always want to have a scheduled time each week to call the sellers and protect that time. If you need to grab your files, then grab your files and go into a conference room and shut the door. Don't let anybody interrupt you. Or you have your own private office, and shut the door, and people know that when the door is shut that you're focused on something. Make sure you enter each communication in the log. Remember, if they call in, grab your file. You're calling out, grab the file. And always leave a message if the client is not available. Upbeat, you know, to the point, but, you know, leave a message. Now, one of the things, too, that I want to make a note here, and then I want you to write down number 4, and that is touch each file each day. Now, some of you are going to say to me, well, I have 35 files. And I go, great. Pull all 35 out every day, put them on your desk, and touch each file. Now, you may open up the file, and within 30 seconds or 20 seconds or 10 seconds, you go, okay, this file's fine. I don't need to talk to these people till, you know, next Tuesday. Everything's good. Close the file, put it back in the drawer. The next one, you go, whoa, I got to call them. I got to talk to them about that showing. You know, and then you take care of that. And then you can close the file, put it back in the drawer. So touch every file each day. Now, some of you have over 100 listings or 50 listings. Okay, you can't do that every day. But you can break them up into groups of 20 or 25, whatever you feel comfortable with. But they've got to be touched at least every other day or every third day. Every third day would be the furthest I'd let it go out. So if you have 100 listings, then it's 30, 30, 30, whatever, or 33, 33, 33. Okay? 34, whatever. Okay. So what I want you to hear, though, is that you have to touch that file. And if you don't touch it, then mistakes happen. You have to have precise, unbelievable, perfect listing systems. And so we're going to get to the point where you get started here. So here's the script. Good morning. You know, this is Giovanna with Chris Heller's office. Sorry I missed you. Chris asked that I call you and give you a market update. Please call me back on my direct line. Thank you for working with our team, and I look forward to speaking with you. All right, so I ran through that script rather quickly for time, and that's not how you would say it. You'd say it a little bit slower, a little bit more enthusiasm. Key thing on the script, to the left-hand side, write this down. Mention agent's name every time. If you're calling about a sign going up, mention the agent's name. Want to make sure that, you know, Chris wanted to make sure you knew this, and I'm calling to let you know, blah, blah, blah. You know, I just spoke with Chris, or Chris wanted to make sure that this happened today, and here's what's going to happen. Make the agent look good. Make the agent look involved. And no, they're not involved, but it's a team effort. It's a team effort. Be enthusiastic. Be energetic. And if you get a question that is difficult and you don't know the answer, you say, great question. You know, I'm going to make sure that Chris calls you today. Will you be available after 3 today? He's got clients until 3. What's the best number to reach you at? So don't say, gosh, I don't know the answer to that, or, oh, well, we'll have to get back to you on that. That's not the way to do it. Great question. I'll make sure Chris gets back to you today. What's the best time after 3 o'clock to be reached? Great. What number will you be at? So now, if you see here in the parentheses, once you find out the answer from the agent, you are going to be the one calling them back. But it made like Chris or whoever your agent is involved, or Monica, whoever. So once you find out the answer, you may be the one calling them back. So you just say, gosh, it's important that I get back to you right away. I did speak to Monica, and she said blah, 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 and this is blah, blah, blah. All right? Okay. So then, the next one is that you want to take a look at is that the agent's name in every conversation, and you always want to make the agent good. And then the next one is an email is not a contact. So when, I've talked to agents and buyer agents until I just want to run my head into the wall. How do you know they got the email? How do you know they saw it? They didn't acknowledge it. You didn't get it back. It just is sitting out there and you're wondering. And that's why I said to you guys in the beginning, if when you get an email from an agent, and you always want to respond by saying done. You don't need to explain it. They don't care. Just write done. If you're dealing with an analytical agent, you might have to put a little bit more into it than done, but most of them will just be fine with done. So when people list a property, 25% of what you say is all they hear. 75% they don't hear because they're under a lot of stress. So when people are under stress, they're only going to hear 25% of what you say. So when we talked about the first call checklist, call, email, call, I said, use this checklist, send them an email of saying what you said, on the call. Then you call the next day and say, did you get my email? Great. Did you have any questions about how we communicate and what the marketing is for this week? I mean, that's just customer service. Chris wanted to make sure that I called, or Monica wanted to make sure I called, whatever, all right? So call, email, call. All right. Then, again, I can't urge you enough that the one with the most paper wins. Hopefully you'll never go to court, but if you do, you will have great documentation. Always log when the seller calls you and record why they call, and always log why you call them. Always use the client's name, the agent's name. So critical to use the client's name. And always use the words customer service as part of, Monica's customer service, Chris's, whatever your agent's name's customer service. I wanted to talk to you today for about 2 minutes. Is this a good time? You always come prepared with any new listings, any new sales, any new closed in the area. Pull it up real quickly. Takes a couple of minutes. You'll learn how to do it quickly, and then you can say, oh, by the way, since I have you on the phone, last weekend a property did come up in your area over on Cherry Street. Are you familiar with that? Great. Let me tell you about this property. And always use the Disneyland close, which is, oh, by the way, thanks for working with our team. We really appreciate the business. Is there anything else I can do to help your day? That's the Disneyland close. All right, so, the script is, good morning, blah, blah, blah. Did I reach at a good time? Do you have a couple of minutes? Great. I just wanted to give you a market update, or I wanted to give you feedback showing, or I wanted to see if you had any questions. I mean, there's a whole list of things, and people say to me, what do you say every time? You say, it's just part of our customer service. I'm calling to see if you have any questions at this time. And just to let you know, by the way, nothing new listed. Nothing new is on the market, and nothing is sold in the last 2 weeks in your area. Everything stayed pretty quiet. That's a market update. Oh, by the way, or you say, there's a new listing that came up. Let me tell you a little bit about it so you're aware of the market. So there's always something to talk about on the market update. And you always ask them, do you have any questions for us at this time? All right. So with that, you want to ask, the thing that's so critical is that, we're here to answer any of your questions. If you have any questions, please let me know. I'd be happy to help you. And thanks for working with our team. We really appreciate your business. Is there anything else I can do to help your day? Close, you're done. Have a great day. All right? And if you do this, and you have set times, and you touch those files every day, you will have a great experience with the client if you're proactive in making calls. So one of the things I wanted you to hear today, which I told the agents 2 weeks ago, the listing should be called every single day the first 5 days. Some of you are going, well, that's a little crazy. No, it's not. It takes you a couple of minutes. And by the way, they may not be there, but they heard your voice. Sorry I missed you. It's Giovanna at Chris Heller's office. Just wanted to let you know the sign's been ordered. The sign will be up tomorrow before 4 o'clock. If you have any questions, please call me back. I'd love to hear from you. Then Giovanna gets back on the internet, the on the email, she shoots them an email and says, I just left you a message. I want to let you know the sign will be up by 4 o'clock. That didn't take any time at all. What is the perception to the seller? It causes the seller to behave. It causes the seller to respect that you and who you are and what the team is, but more importantly, they know that they hired the right team. The honeymoon is the first 3 weeks. There's no such thing as over-communications. There's no such thing as too many emails. There is no such thing as too many phone calls. But remember, I said, phone calls are first. Emails are just to verify what you said. They're not leaving, detailed information that you should have had a conversation about. So keep that really, really clear. Okay, page 26, words of wisdom. This is a form that we pulled out now because we're back to a beauty contest. And so these are things that you can just put in your file that says listing appointment in your tab, because what's going to happen now is that I've got to go back to some of these sellers. We're back to a beauty contest. They've got to paint their front door. They've got to clean up their backyard. They've got to bring some mulch in. And then the home appearance checklist, I'm sure some of you have some of these, but these are just very helpful to have in the listing file folder for the agent to draw on as a tool when necessary. Okay, so, oh boy, I'm talking a lot here, so I got to go fast now. Okay, so who's got the number one exciting idea that's going to help you move your business forward? I know this was a big session today, but if you work on your listing checklist, your listing systems, this is the foundation of the entire business, so this is an extremely important call. All right, who's got number one idea, please?
Hi, Mo. This is Andrea calling from Keller Williams in Orland Park.
Hey, all right, you are in Overland Park in Kansas, right, Andrea?
In Illinois.
Oh, Illinois. Excellent. Okay, good. All right, sorry about that. Okay, so tell me, what was your number one idea?
I absolutely love the appointment file checklist.
Thank you. All right. You know what? That is the most valuable thing. If you can train your agent to do 3 of those sections, you do 2 of them, you've got all your information there on that checklist. Staple it on there and say, don't come back unless you fill out these sections.
Yes, and there's been a numerous amounts of times where my agents come back, and most of this information I had to hunt down myself, so this will help us a lot.
Yeah,
so
and you just say, instead of me hunting down this information, you're hearing about it, write it down to the listing presentation, and you will add 2 hours to my day. And they'll go, what? Mm-hmm. Yes, 2 hours to my day. Thank you very much. Thanks, Andrea. Good. Who's got number 2 idea? Excellent. Number 2.
Hello, Monica. This is Vicki with the Johns Family Team, Keller Williams, Overland Park, Kansas.
There, I knew that. Overland Park. There you go. I knew there was a, hey, Vicki, thanks. I can count on you, too. All right, what did you like today?
Absolutely love the home seller acknowledgement form. That is awesome.
You know,
I didn't. Off on it.
You bet. And you know what's funny, Vicki? I didn't have to use that 6 months ago when houses were selling in a day. I didn't have to use it at all. But now we're back to living with the sellers a lot longer, so I want to make it clear. First offer, open houses, negotiating. I'm making it really clear how this is going to go down.
Definitely. Having it up front.
You bet. And have them sign off on it. It's so great.
I love it.
All right. Good. Number 3. Thank you, Vicki, from Overland Park in Kansas. Who's got number 3, please? There's got to be one more good idea out of this whole 40-something, 32 pages. Come on, one more idea. Somebody.
It's Vicki.
Hi, Monica.
Yes.
Hi, this is Kelly out of the Keller Williams Denton location.
Okay, Kelly and Denton. Yes, ma'am. All right. What'd you like today?
Well, what I've done is the pre-listing packet. I pretty much followed that to a T. I've changed a couple of things, but I'll have folders filled, with the forms already in them with the pre-listing checklist that Lori will take with her, so she has all the documents there that she needs. She knows exactly what needs to be signed, and at the end of it, she'll have a check-off list that she can check and say, yes, this is done, yes, that's done. Oh, wait, we still have to do this. So that way, when she turns it in to me, it's complete and done, because I don't want to get an incomplete file, and it's ready to roll. So that's helped tremendously.
That's awesome. All right, good. And there was somebody, thank you for that. Somebody else had one too, please. Anybody else? Okay, then all right, let's roll on to, thank you very much. Let's roll on to your homework assignment. All right, so if you're not using the home seller acknowledgement form, take that out, show it to the agent, and say, is this something that you could cover at the listing that makes sense so that we don't have a lot of challenges coming down the line as they're listed longer. So share the acknowledgement. The other thing is I want you to create your own appointment file checklist. You know, as Andrea said, that's going to make a huge difference for her. It'll make a huge difference for you. If you're doing the hunt and peck and look for all this information, get it done right away. Get it all done up front. And then, you know, I think the third thing that when you look at all of this is that you've got to have an absolutely bulletproof checklist. So your listing checklist has to be bulletproof. And then number 4, I'm going to write down this, is that new listing communication. So you've got to have that honeymoon system going into place where you're calling the first 5 days and you touch the file every single day. So that's not really too much to do because we're not going to talk for 2 weeks. So those are really 4 easy things to do because you already have a listing checklist. You just need to make it better. You need to set up a system where you're calling that brand new listing every single day. So in your schedule, you should have a time like at 11:30 every day you call all the brand new listings, you know, that you have that week, you know, whatever. I mean, you set up your own system. You know, guys know how to do that. But the listing checklist has to be perfect. This is the foundation of the business. Now, the tabs, and I know some of the analytical great assistants here have mentioned to me a couple of times, gosh, you know, I would have more tabs than what you suggest. Well, I'm a driver, so I just keep it more simple than that. So, you know, you can have a tab that says listing checklist, all right, and then you can have a tab that